You bet. All right, thanks, Jeanette. Folks, let's go ahead and get airborne. Welcome aboard. I'm going to be talking about trading the Trump rally. No matter what your politics are, you got to talk about this as the Trump rally. We're going to talk through a lot of things, my methodology, how I trade here at Top Gun Options, why it's called Top Gun Options, who I am, and then we're going to take a look at an actionable trade towards the end that I actually sent out yesterday to our members using our methodology. Quick reminder, obviously options involves risk. I'm certainly not your registered investment advisor or broker-dealer. Can't give you personal investment advice, and make sure before you squeeze a trigger on any real capital, you're talking to one of those 500-pound heads to make sure it's suitable for you. As Jeanette said, my name is Matthew Buckley. My call sign is Wiz. Pretty sure my parents like me, so that's not my God-given name, the Wiz part, but I earned that as a call sign flying the FA-18 Hornet for the United States Navy, flying 44 combat missions over Iraq, and also graduating from the Navy Fighter Weapons School. Flew in jets in Pakistan, got to fly with the Blue Angels, and then also, if you've ever wondered what Kuwait looks like, that's it under my aircraft. That's looking east. There's Iran. There's Iraq. That's how small the Persian, well, I called it Arabian Gulf. I don't like calling it the Persian Gulf. So there's Kuwait City right there as we head back out to the Abraham Lincoln. So you might be sitting there going, okay, Wiz, how'd you go from the cockpit essentially to the trading pit? Well, what I really did was I applied everything that I was learning flying a fighter aircraft. Having a discipline, or being disciplined, having a strategy, implementing tactics, contingency planning, asking what could go wrong on this mission that I could talk about during the brief instead of freaking the hell out if something wrong happened airborne, knowing when to get out of a bad situation before it gets worse. All those things I applied to my, not only to my trading, but to the business world as well. So I wrote a book on transitioning from the military to the business world, and my, I gave keynotes and consulting to a lot of the companies you see here on the screen. What's this have to do with trading? Absolutely everything. Take a look at some of those companies, folks. I was in Texas a couple weeks ago giving a keynote to the #1 largest death care industry company. I know what's going on in the economy. I know what's going on in different sectors and companies, who's buying, who's acquiring. Obviously, as a fiduciary, I don't trade in any of the names I do consulting with, but it gives me a hell of a lot better situational awareness than any other trader you're ever going to bump into. You can count on one hand, ladies and gentlemen, the number of people that got this epic call before this time last year. Me, Jeffrey Gunlock from Double Line Capital, and I think 2 or 3 other financial professionals. Here at Top Gun Options, I not only predicted that Trump was going to win, I also predicted the market would rally 10 to 15%. Now, I was wrong. Why? Because the market's still going up. But this was an awesome call by me. It was a career call, and I can show you later some of the testimonials. Right before the election, we got long the financials, Goldman Sachs, a bunch of other stuff. How did I know he was going to win? I was out giving speeches. I was traveling around America, not in LA and New York, the 2 bastions there, the bookends, but America. And I talked to average Americans. I knew the polls were lying, duh, and I knew this guy was going to win. There was a bubbling sense of we've had it. So I placed trades on last fall that at several of our members, I did 5 contracts in this one Goldman Sachs trade. A couple of them did 20. They were up $150,000 in one trade on Goldman Sachs. So I'm that guy, folks. But anyway, I applied everything I learned flying the fighter to my options trading, and I eventually popped up on the radar of one of the largest volatility equity arbitrage firms in the United States, headquartered right there in the Board of Trade. You see those big, awesome looking windows? That's Peak 6 Investments. Had a blast when I was there for about 3 years. I was the managing director of strategy, helped build a hedge fund, helped build the retail broker options house, and trust me, every once in a while I did feel like Eddie Murphy in Trading Places. I felt like Valentine, but it was awesome. While I was up there, I was also the founder and the CEO of Peak 6 Media, and that was the parent company of the Options News Network. We were essentially the CNBC for options. I know John and Pete, and they do a great job on CNBC, but CNBC, still kind of pays lip service to the options world. So we were the kind of the CNBC for options, and I had an absolute blast doing it. Man, this is an old picture. My boy on the right, 17, and my boy Jack on the left is 13 and Keely's 9. So I got to update this picture. But no offense to anybody from Chicago, you can keep your winter. So I'm a Navy guy. I need a beach, so we moved down here to Boca Raton in Fort Lauderdale. I'm coming to you right now from beautiful Las Olas Boulevard in Fort Lauderdale. A little chill in the air. Going to run for the beach, go for a run on the beach after I get done with this. So let's go ahead and get airborne. So that's me. That's my background. And if you go to one of these things and they just jump right into trading and stuff like that, you should probably, click the X on the top right. You got to know who the hell your flight instructor is and what their qualifications are. So let's go ahead and get airborne. So why Top Gun options? Well, real quick, let's talk performance. 2017 is our record performance. Why? Because essentially the call on the Trump election and the resulting market rally. Every one of the pullbacks year to date, and I can show you on a chart of the S&P 500, has been political. There has not been one fundamental, and these are based on $100,000 model portfolios here, folks. This is the retirement portfolio has a 63% return on risk, and the PLTB is doing about 35%. We are doing incredibly well here. Real quick though, always have to do this. Let me put my attorney hat on. You lose some battles, folks. The objective is to win the war, okay? Obviously, there are losing trades. You know, I channel my inner Rumsfeld, right? He said about, my motto here at Top Gun Options is trading is a form of combat. When you think about it, somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose, and why wouldn't you want to be on the right side of that trade and use the same methodologies that kept me safe over the skies of Iraq? Of course you would. So Rumsfeld said in combat, there are known knowns. There are things we know that we know. There are known unknowns, meaning we know that there are things we don't know. And then finally, there are unknown unknowns. I remember an Apple trade, 3, 5, whatever months ago when, bullish, here comes the Apple, whatever, iPhone 92 rollout. And bullish is going to pop. Well, it had Wi-Fi issues for like a couple days, and the stock imploded for like 2 days. And this was a weekly options trade, so I got blown out of it. There was no way in hell I would have known about that Wi-Fi issue until it became public. And if I did know about it and it wasn't public, you can go to jail. So every once in a while, you can sit there and plan for 5 hours to do a mission over Syria, and then once you get over Syria, there's a tracked missile that you just didn't see, or the satellite didn't see, or the agency, or some other people that shall remain nameless. You have to deal with it. So losing trades happen, guys. So we got to get that out of the way, because people, I have Tesla. I was short on Tesla. That stupid 18-wheeler rollout. There's a little pop and a short squeeze. Got blown out of that one. But we had a hell of a lot of Tesla trades around that being bearish that were good. So losing trades happen. I'm going to shock all of you right now by giving you a percentage. Or let me ask you, actually, professional traders. I'm talking probably to about 95% retail traders right now. What do you think their win percentage goal is? What percentage of winning trades do you think a professional trader is shooting for? Go ahead and let me know. Type it right in there and let me see some of your answers. 60, 40. You wouldn't be a professional trader for long if that was your win ratio. 51, 55, Larry, Steve, Ed's a 50, Bruce is a 70, Phil 50, T 50, Adam 95%. So we see two outliers. I can tell you immediately 40's wrong and 95's wrong. You ready for this? The average professional trader is shooting for a 60% win rate, folks. Why? Because over time, they know that they are making money. You can't make money if you're just winning half of your trades over time. So I have a win rate here at Top Gun Options of 74%. Okay, meaning 74% of our trades are profitable, and that's a pretty damn good record. I want to be better than the average retail trader. Here's our methodology, folks, and it ain't rocket surgery. So this is simple, and I tip my hat and thank the Navy for this, because when you think about it, this is how you need to trade. Now, many of you, the hundreds of people listening to me right now, the average retail trader is very what? Tactical. You wake up in the morning, you put on your bunny slippers, you grab your coffee, and you watch Comedy Central, which is what I call CNBC. Some dude's talking about some biotech firm, got a nice suit and good-looking hair, and you do a trade based on what he says, and then you're broke 3 days later. You can't do that, folks. It's very, very tactical. What I'm going to do today is give you our methodology and give you a quick, at Top Gun Options, when you become a member, you become an admiral or a general. Congratulations on your promotion. I'm going to give you a daily brief, a 15-minute strategic overview. Here's what's going on around the globe, politically, militarily, and economically. Yes, militarily, folks. Did anybody remember the day, was it 2-3 months ago, when President Trump's sitting in his, golf course in New Jersey, and he said something that I was absolutely stunned. He said, "I am going to rain fire and fury down on North Korea." The leader of the free world essentially said he's going to wipe out an entire nation of people. So if you don't think politics are and I'll show you on the S&P 500 chart in a couple minutes, every pullback year to date has been political. The failure to repeal Obamacare, the infamous Jim Comey memo. I mean, hell, look what happened 3 Fridays ago. ABC News correspondent Brian Ross lied, came out with a bogus news story, and the market went down 350 points. So you have to have what we call SA here at Top Gun Options, situational awareness. If you're just waking up and being tactical, you're going to get wiped out. So after I give you a strategic brief, here's what's going on with oil, Mario Draghi over in the ECB in Europe. Here's what Prime Minister Abe and Bank of Japan Governor Kuroda are doing, and then we can get operational. We're peeling back the onion here one layer at a time, and now we'll talk about the United States. What's going on with the Fed? How's the interest rate increase looking? What's Jerome Powell going to do? How are earnings looking like? How's the PMI, Chicago, the Empire Fed, retail sales last week? Then we get operational, folks, right? So now you're seeing a little bit of a trend here as you're an admiral or a general smoking on your cigar. Now, and only now, after we do our strategic worldwide brief, break it down operationally to the United States, can we get tactical and trade. If you don't learn anything from me in this hour, I failed, first of all, but second of all, learn this. There is no such thing as an option strategy. And I know I lost some of you like, dude, an iron condor is my favorite strategy. You're wrong. It's a tactic. Folks, a strategy is something high level. A strategy is, a financial strategy is saving for college, short-term income generation, managing risk, buying a boat before the summer, Wiz. Those are strategies. An iron condor, a bull put spread that I'm going to show you soon on Amazon. Those are called tactics. Fix your terminology because it's wrong. So here's how we trade at Top Gun Options. Strategically, we have Jan 19, Jan 20 trades on. We have a Jan 20 trade on a defense stock called Raytheon that is printing money. I'm getting ready to close a 1.5-ish Facebook Jan 18 trade that's up $42,000. It was an initial $5,000 in risk about a year and a half ago when the Jan 18s came out. And we closed another JP Morgan trade for about a $35,000 gain. These aren't weekly options. They're not super fast and super sexy, but how many of you would like to make 42 grand in a 1.5 years on one trade? So that's when we trade strategically. We do what are called long call diagonals and synthetic stock. Operationally, I trade the front months, iron condors, vertical spreads that we'll take a look in a little bit. We trade hedges. We made 3 or 4 beautiful volatility trades around what? The tax reform clown car for the past couple weeks. Oh, this guy's out. Spike in volatility. He's not going to be out. Let's short vol. Vol goes down. So we trade the front months, and then our tactical trading here at Top Gun Options, we do trade weekly options. I put on an SPX. I don't trade SPY. I trade SPX, and you can learn why when you join. It made $1,400 in 4.5 days on about $5 grand in risk. Not too shabby return. Put it on Friday afternoon. It expired worthless yesterday afternoon. $1,400 in about 4 days. Again, folks, trading is a form of combat. Think about it. Do you think the Wall Street or market makers are going to take it easy on you just because you're little old, mom and pop retail trader? One of my partners in Chicago called you liquidity. They laugh at retail traders. They treat you as cordwood, folks. You're liquidity. Well, it's time to level the battlefield. Real quick before I go over to my trading screen, write this acronym down. This is where 2018 is going to have some big issues, either bullish, bearish, whatever. These forces will drive the market in 2018. I added a couple. It was not fear with just one T and one F, but I added a couple. So here we go. 2018, unless you've been living in a cave, North Korea, folks, this is going to come to a head. We have maybe two crazy people, but we have crazy people with nuclear weapons saying we're going to wipe each other off the face of the earth. They have ICBMs that can now reach Washington. And oh, by the way, if you read the news, if you watched CNN last week, they were talking about how many Diet Cokes the president drinks, but you'll get your news from me, which is real news. You also get the benefit of me knowing four-star admirals. I have a ton of buddies in the Pentagon. I have a lot of buddies in the government. I get a lot of intel, and that shall remain nameless. But folks, while they're talking about how many Diet Cokes this guy's eating, North Korea is now that they have enough nukes to kill a lot of just about every American, they're moving to biological weapons. That should scare the hell out of you. North Korea will be an issue. This is coming to a head. The President, Secretary of Defense has said we will not allow a nuclear-armed North Korea. North Korea, we will never give up our nuclear weapons. And I actually believe the North Koreans. I don't think this will turn into a shooting war, folks, but how's this have to do with trading? Well, did you not see the 400-point pullback in the Dow when the president threatened to vaporize this country? It was a buy the dip moment, but we might have more of these in 2018. And if something goes bump in the night, some North Korean kid falls asleep on his artillery piece and launches one off, and all of a sudden 4 million people are dead in Seoul. You'll wake up and the VIX will be at 90 and the S&P will be down at $1,000, unfortunately. The O in not fear is oil. How's oil doing right now? Phenomenal, huge. Nobody does oil better than me. 60s-ish, WTI, Brent. Remember about a year and a half to 2 years ago, oil imploded? Remember oil going through $30? Holy, cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria. Oil, we're going to have to keep, I'll show you an IEA report that came out the other day, International Energy Agency, really, really bearish on oil due to oversupply and a bunch of other issues I can brief you on. But here's why. All it takes is one news story. Again, CNN, President Trump's 8 Diet Cokes a day. Other news sources, Nikki Haley, our United Nations ambassador, had a press conference the other day with an Iranian missile behind her that they fired from Yemen, aiming at the international airport in Riyadh. I was stationed in Riyadh for about 3 months. I flew through that airport. Could you imagine if that missile hit? The Persian Gulf, the Arabian Gulf, is one incident away from Saudi and Iran going at it. Then oil's up at $300-400 in the blink of an eye. You have to know this stuff, folks, because when you wake up or you see breaking news on the bottom of the screen, it's too late for you to trade it. I'm already in it or out of it. That's why you got to be here. And again, we were the only financial training firm to predict this. I nailed it. I knew it. I told 2 days before the election, Citigroup, Hillary Clinton wins by double digits, and if by some act of Satan Trump wins, the market's going to implode 10 to 15%. I told my members, I'm like, they're lying. That is not going to happen. I know this for a fact. And if you were a member here, you're rich. I made a lot of my members rich on that call. I knew they were lying. Now we all know they were lying. The media was in the tank for Hillary. All their polls were lying. It was wrong. The dude had a great, love him or hate him, I'll save my opinion on him. The guy was brilliant. He went to Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Ohio. Don't tell me 200 grand in Russian Facebook ads convinced 63 million Americans to go vote for this dude. It's stupid. So Trump is going to be a big issue in 2018. Tax reform. It looks like we're getting it on Tuesday, folks. The guy, he, 0 for 1 on Obamacare. I got to tell you, the cutting of regulations, Steve Mnuchin, the Treasury Secretary, just gutting Frankendodd, has been very, very bullish. If we get tax reform the way that it looks right now, you cannot, the GDP, I'm predicting right now this time next year, will be 4% easily. So the capital inflow, small businesses like mine, earnings, we haven't yet. You think this has been a good bull market run? Get ready for 2018, man. The Fed. I got to update this picture with the new Fed chairman. What's his name? Jerome Powell. But folks, they're going to be dialing up interest rates. Write this wisdom down. When interest rates are high, stocks will die. When interest rates are low, stocks will grow. Look at the past 3 to 5 years. Near zero rate interest environment under the Bernanke and her. Man, these guys have been the bartenders, man, and they have been serving the drunks. This market has been smoking opium for the past 3 to 5 years. Now we're going to start getting back to reality a little bit. with interest rates going up. That could not be more bullish for the financials, folks. We have JP Morgan positions and Morgan Stanley. Those are my two. I can't stand Goldman Sachs. Dick Beauvais a couple weeks ago called for Lloyd Blankfein to resign. I beat Dick Beauvais by 6 months. When Goldman Sachs, 2 out of the 3 past quarters, they missed earnings. The third quarter, the most recent one, the headline was Goldman Sachs surprise beat. You don't want to have your financial company you're bullish on have a surprise beat. The JP Morgan headline was crushing beat. Can't stand Goldman Sachs anymore. I used to love the Death Star. I used to love Goldman Sachs. Here's why I don't. When Lloyd Blankfein got his Twitter account 6 months ago, he opened his new Twitter account. All he did for like a month straight was badmouth Trump on a daily basis, like trolling the president. I'm like, and I tweeted, I'm like, hey man, why don't you go unfornicate your fixed income, currency, and commodities division for the past 2 quarters that have not made earnings? You got more time to sit here and troll the president on Twitter than run your ship? You're fired. And it was awesome to hear Dick Beauvais 2-3 weeks ago essentially mirror what I said. So I'm not a Goldman guy. We have positions in JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley, but 2018 is going to be very bullish for the financials. The E in not fear is Europe. Mario this week kept rates unchanged, but he hinted at a little bit more QE for the drunks over in Europe. I'm Irish. I didn't mean it like that. I mean the market drunks. We still have a Brexit that's floating around in the background, a soft Brexit, a hard Brexit. It's still going to happen, folks. The reason I bring up the Brexit was we had some great volatility trades around the Brexit and the election. When there's a known event where there's some uncertainty, here at TGO, we're going to print money. The tax thing, I didn't know. I'm like, I guarantee you the Republicans steal victory or defeat from the jaws of victory with this tax thing. They'll probably fumble it. We got long vol with a bullish double vertical. As vol went up from 9 to 12. That is a big rise when you think about it. And then we got short as soon as I started reading the tea leaves that, you know, the Republicans would fall in line. And we did a bearish double vertical. We made about $12,000, $15,000 on limited risk with our volatility trades. The other E in not fear is earnings. These tax cuts are going to go right to the bottom line, man. The regulatory cuts are helping earnings. You know, these Jamie Dimons and all these CEOs are saying, man, that the president has a rule. For every one new regulation this government makes, they have to ditch 2 of them. It's a 1-for-2 cut. So Wall Street is loving this environment. That's why I couldn't believe how stupid some people in the financial field were in the last fall. I'm like, who do you think will be more bullish for the market? Hillary Clinton or a real estate developer from New York who likes to make money and other businesses to make money? I just, whatever. The A in not fear is Asia. Folks, the world's number 2 economy, China, we're long-term bullish on China. Write this symbol down, FXI. We trade FXI as our China kind of proxy. I missed a little bit of an Asia bullish call about 6 months ago. Why? Because I, honest to God, thought that before, as things were really, really getting heated with North Korea, I thought the president was going to kind of flex his muscles a little bit on with China. The guy campaigned huge China currency manipulator, huge. You know, day one, I'm going to label them a currency manipulator. Nobody does it better than me. Believe me, and he didn't. Why? I think he's keeping that in his back pocket in case he really does have to, you know, turn to China and go, all right, guys, we're getting ready to do something really big. You get one last chance. Or he's going to turn around and start putting sanctions on China. I mean, 90% of North Korea's trade is with China. So I'm bullish on China, but we have to have one eye strategically out to what's going on with their little nephew there. And finally, the R in not fear is Russia. Now, I jokingly tell my members at Top Gun Options, I wear 2 suits at Top Gun Options. I wear a flight suit, so I'm going to tell you what I feel as an American, and then I got my $6,000 Armani Gordon Gekko suit. Okay? So, Russia. You have to, I hate saying this, but I'm going to say it. You have to be bullish on a guy that does whatever the hell he wants. I'm going to invade Crimea. Obama. Stop, or we'll say stop again. Angela Merkel. Stop, or we'll say stop again. Nothing. I'm going to invade eastern Ukraine. Stop. I'm going to shoot down a civilian airliner and kill 300 people. Oh, horror. Guys, he's going to be president for life. He already announced he's, whatever trickery he did, he's going to be president for life. This guy, look, write this symbol down, RSX. Russia, that's our Russia proxy. So, but I want to get motor in here so we can at least take a look at an actionable plan. I come to these things a lot, folks, or when I'm out giving speeches on the road, I always bump into people who are like, "Oh, Wiz, you're in the financial world. You know, I always hear I should have a trade plan," and I ask the guy for one, and then he says, "Thank you, good night, try the veal," and leaves. Take a screenshot of this. The window you're viewing this slide in has a little camera at the top. You should be able to click that. Take a picture of this. Here is your free trade plan. You're welcome. You're going to thank me for this. This is literally a combat trade plan that I modified for my trading on Wall Street, and it works incredibly well. If you don't use it, you deserve to get shot down. If you use this, you will not get shot down as much as you currently are. I'm going to run through this super quick because we utilize what we call demo do at Top Gun Options. I'm going to demonstrate something. If you jump in a two-seat F-18 with me, I'm going to demonstrate how to do a loop, and then you're going to do. So we demo do. So here we go. Here's our 7-step trade plan. Step 1, you need to know what your strategic mindset is, and you can only be one of 4 things. Bullish, bearish. You can think the market is going to be volatile, or you're neutral. We're chopping sideways. Bullish, bearish, volatile, or neutral. You ready for mine? I am cautiously bullish, and I'll show you the chart in a couple seconds here. Then we identify the target we're going to trade, the stock, the ETF, the index. I trade indexes over ETFs because there is potentially a better tax treatment. Write that one down. I said it quickly. I'm not your tax attorney. I'm not your accountant. I don't play one on TV either. But I will tell you that you could maybe get better tax treatment by trading an index. And that just might have added about 15 grand in your bottom line for the year going forward. Commit criteria. Most important part of this trade plan. Why am I committing capital to this trade? This is your elevator pitch. I'm on the 29th floor of Icon on Los Olas in Fort Lauderdale. If we get on the elevator, by the time we get to the lobby, you better hit me with 3 to 5 sentences of why you're committing capital to a trade. I don't know how many people come up to me and I'll say, "Hey, well, why are you in that Apple trade?" Because I like Apple. Not good enough. I have an iPhone. Not good enough. Give me 3 to 5 sentences, laser-like, that tell me I should be in this trade. Then after you have your commit criteria, this is why I'm going to commit capital to this trade. This is why I'm putting my hard-earned money that the government doesn't take at risk. Now we identify the tactic we're going to use. Notice I didn't say a strategy, folks. This is the tactic. In a couple minutes, our tactic is going to be a bull-put spread. Then we move on to step 5, tactical employment. How do I put this trade on? I'm going to sell these puts. I'm going to buy these puts at this price, plus or minus maybe 10 cents. That's the guts of the trade. And again, I'll do this in a couple minutes. Step 6 is what we call mid-course guidance. Ladies and gentlemen, I never dropped a bomb in anger or squeezed the trigger on a trade with real capital and close my eyes and go, "Man, I hope that hits bad people," or "I hope this trade makes money." There ain't no hope in the military, folks. I know that sounds bad, but literally, we plan for the worst case scenario. So if it happens, we're ready. And if it doesn't happen, we're pleasantly surprised. So we're going to figure out, we're going to ask ourselves in step 6 of our trade plan, what if this happens? What if that? What if this trade starts moving against us and now it's priced at this? Are we just going to sit there and scratch our head? No. We're going to, in step 6, during our live trade briefs, I go through, here's what we're going to do if shit starts to go south. We're going to adjust it. We're going to roll it down. We're going to roll it up. We're going to roll it out. I'm going to go through what we're going to do. And then you cannot do any trade with it. Before you get into any trade, folks, you have got to know when you're getting out of it. Step 7 is my Colin Powell step, right? The Colin Powell doctrine is what? Before we ever get into something, we know when we're getting out. He was a young officer in Vietnam. He knows what a nightmare looks like. So in step 7, we're going to say, hey, if we're seeing 70, 80, 90% profits in a credit spread, we're out. If we're seeing a 75% loss of the credit we took in, we're going to adjust the trade. If we lose double the credit we took in, we eject. I'm going to teach you to come up with a trade SOP, standard operating procedure. If you're just running around doing none of this, you deserve everything bad that happens to you, and I don't mean that as a slight. I mean that as a professional. You're doing it wrong. So there's the demo. Now let's go ahead and do the do here. So now it's time to, I hate slides, man. This will be the last time you see PowerPoint slides out of me. Let's just say a picture's worth 1,000 words here. Here's the S&P 500. Every pullback, like I talked about, has been political. Here is the Donald Trump's a racist. This was what was it, Charlottesville? Remember after the Charlottesville crap, the market said what? Oh my God, Trump's a racist. Gary Cohn and Steve Mnuchin, Goldman Sachs heavy, who is the Treasury Secretary. I know Steve Mnuchin. I had dinner with him. He and my sister were partners together at Dune Capital in New York. They said they have to resign because he's a racist. So the market was doing this. The market pulled back on these guys need to resign, and if they resign, they'll never get tax reform passed. They didn't resign because Trump isn't a racist. I don't care what you say, and the market rallied. You see this pullback right here? This is him sitting at his golf course in New Jersey going, I'm going to vaporize North Korea. You see this little chop and pullback here? This was the whole Donald Trump Jr. emails. He met with a Russian attorney. If we still had a left side of the chart here, you'd see the Comey memo and the failure to repeal Obamacare. The only big red pullbacks have been political. So if you're sitting here going, why is this guy talking about politics that much? Because there has not been one fundamental pullback. There's not been one market pullback that hasn't been based on politics. None. You see this 350, you see that there's the Brian Ross Friday. Everybody remember that? That Friday afternoon where Brian Ross lied. He gets suspended for 4 weeks without pay from ABC News. He'll be back. Look at that pullback. Everything else, folks, you can't keep this market down. I will tell you, barring a shooting war with North Korea or a war in the Middle East, this market is going higher. And I'm kind of Eeyore-ish, folks. I look at everything going around in the world. As an options trader, I look at this thing. I was in the Board of Trade when the VIX hit 80 or 90 in, what was it, 2009. The VIX its resting heart rate is down here at a 9. This, if you haven't been trading options, folks, or you just know anything about options, this is stupid cheap. Write this down. When vol is cheap, $9, $10, you buy it. When vol is expensive, up here, I can't believe I'm saying vol is expensive at 12, but it was. So here are these double verticals that we did around, oh my God, tax reform is going to pass, or won't pass. Yeah, it will. No, Marco Rubio said he might be a no. He's going to be a yes. Okay. This has been like shooting fish in a barrel, folks. Trading volatility around known events. Where's 1 year ago? Where's the Brexit? There's the election or the Brexit. I mean, folks, I'll teach you how to trade volatility. Around known events, you can print money. Whenever you see the word volatility, put in the word uncertainty. Because people are like, I don't know how to trade volatility. Do you know how to trade uncertainty? Yeah. There's a potential government shutdown next week, Wiz. If it starts looking like it's going to be a clown car, and it might happen, the VIX is going to pop. It ain't going to happen, and then you close it and take your profits. This isn't the trade I want to be talking about. We'll get to Amazon in a second, but here's what I'm getting at is any of these dips have been a BTFD moment. And it's by the effing dip. The only other political or potential black swan, I mean, the oil glut, I just don't, I know the IEA has kind of poured some cold water on it. I think this is a potential black swan. So North Korea, maybe a war in the Middle East, or this. There are so many shoes dropping. What we found out in the past week to week and a half about the top of the Department of Justice and the FBI and how disgusting, and they never thought they'd be caught. They were sure. The media is saying Hillary's going to win. Goldman Sachs is saying Hillary's going to win. The crap that these political appointees were doing, I don't care your affiliation. This is revolting what was going on at FBI and the Department of Justice. So this creeps me out a little bit. Okay? So we're going to let me just give a quick strategic brief because I want to get to a trade. Good article in the journal today. Investors are the most bearish since the great financial crisis. Nearly 7 in 10 investors say stocks are overvalued. Oh my God, Wiz, we should get bearish. No. And I promised myself I wouldn't say the B word, Bitcoin, but there is a lot of potential downs to this market. I've given you a couple of them, and they're mainly geopolitical. There's nothing, folks, the president's already talking about what? Infrastructure spending. He's putting the tax deal to bed. What's the next big thing he wants to tackle? Infrastructure. That's going to be it has to be bipartisan, folks. I mean, Moose and Rocco, the union guys, building new highways and bridges. Democrats even want infrastructure spending. This can only be bullish for the markets. Marco finally came around yesterday. I don't think we're going to have a government shutdown next week. I'm going to breeze through my strategic and operational brief because I want to get tactical. I don't think the Fed's going to go super fast next year. I think we maybe get 3 or 4 rate increases next year. Retail sales, this will help when I get to my commit criteria, my Amazon trade. U.S. retail sales surge at the fastest pace since 2012. Let me give you a free trade for next year. Oh, Wiz, that doesn't do anything for me today. It will in a year. Literally grab your smartphone. I did this the other day in my live trade brief. Every November 1st, put a recurring calendar event. I'm not kidding. Do it because you'll forget. Get long the XRT, which is the retail ETF, at the beginning of November. I don't care. Even during the Obama years when, oh my God, this Christmas is going to be awful, worst Christmas ever, it never was. Amazon, Apple, biggest online retail sales ever. Every year it seems like they say that. Write this trade down. Get long the XRT. I don't care if it's a bull put spread, a bullish double vertical. This is a free trade. This is a seasonal free trade in XRT. You look from, you back test this for the past 10, 15 years, you will have made money every November. So right there's your free trade with the XRT. But here's what I'm getting at with retail sales. Amazon, we'll talk about Amazon in a second, is printing money. FedEx and UPS usually come out about 5 days before Christmas and give us a warning saying, you know what, folks, if you don't have it, if you didn't buy it today, they ain't getting it by Christmas. You know when they did that this year? 2 days ago. 10 days before Christmas, they came out and said, people might not be getting this stuff. That is epic. That could not be more bullish. Okay? So, initial jobless claims this week. 44-year lows. So, folks, how about the jobs number a week ago? Seems like a lifetime ago. U.S. hiring figures so, folks, here's my bottom line. I am cautiously bullish. That's what I want to get to is I think this continues. I think in 2018 we'll have more of these political pullbacks, especially with this Mueller investigation starting to rot a little bit. I just don't see any. Far from a black swan event, I don't see what's going to keep this market down. Okay, there's my strategic and operational brief. Step 1, strategic mindset, cautiously bullish. My target, we're going with Amazon. And I sent this trade out yesterday via email, via text, and video to my members. Amazon, commit criteria. Amazon had a nice pop going into Cyber, what is it, Black Friday, Cyber Monday. It sold off. Amazon tends to consolidate in December. It kind of hangs out waiting for what? The news in the beginning of January that says, oh my God, this was the biggest Christmas ever. Nobody does Christmas better than me. So here's the trade, the 1150, 1140. So that's my commit criteria. Amazon is consolidating through Christmas, and in January, this is also a seasonal trade, guys. The Apples, the retailers tend to kind of go in a holding pattern. As everybody's running around buying the G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip. And then in the beginning of January, it's usually like blowout numbers. So let's take a look at a trade. So there's my commit criteria. If somebody says, Wiz, why are you in this Amazon bull put spread? I rattled off 3 to 5 sentences. So you should go, yeah, I agree with that. Step 4 in my trade plan is the tactic. The tactic is going to be a bull put spread. So let's pull up the options chain. And I'm literally going to go out a month, literally about 30 days from today. Why? I want to give this trade time to work. And I think we're going to, you'll hear good and, everybody's seen the Black Friday videos of people beating the hell out of each other for a flat screen. Nothing says Merry Christmas like beating your neighbor for a flat screen. So I'm going to go out to the middle of January because I think in the beginning to second week of January, Amazon's going to come out and say, we're the Death Star. I mean, we have enough money that Jeff Bezos is literally building, a Death Star. So and I looked at the 1150, 1140 bull put spread. So 1150, I'll build the trade. And I sent this out to my members yesterday. So you're getting just a day late taking a look at this trade. And let me build it and then I'll explain it. Here we go. So here is our tactical employment, right? Step 5. I'm going to sell 7. Okay, Wiz, that seems like an entirely random number. It's not. Stick with me. Give me 2 minutes and I'll tell you why I am selling 7 contracts. Selling 7 of the Jan 18. Why Jan 18? I just explained it to you. Of the 1150 puts. Let me go back to the chart real quick to get the 1150. So here's, that's way too many lines. 1 second. So, okay, stop. Kind of this 1130 line was resistance and then bounced off support. Now it looks like this 1150 went through it, and now we're kind of hovering over this 1150. This gives me a little altitude, folks, between where Amazon is right now. Let's say I'm wrong. Wiz, you're wrong. It was the worst Christmas ever. Amazon's just delivering coal. I mean, it's just awful. Well, that means I need to be hedged. So I'm going to buy what are called downside puts. I'm going to buy 7 of the Jan 18 1140 puts. So if we wake up one day and it turns out that literally Jeff Bezos is Emperor Palpatine and he is building a Death Star and the stock implodes, this is called a spread. It's the tactic, and I know, folks, that if you're new to options, you're like, Wiz, I can't stand that a trade, a tactic has 3 names, a vertical spread, a credit spread, and a bull put spread. I label it what it is. I'm bullish on Amazon. I'm using puts, and it's a spread. So why don't we call it a bull put spread? Now I know also down here, we're bringing in a credit. We're the house on this trade, folks. I love selling things. Whether you're the Ferrari dealer down here in Fort Lauderdale or the MGM Grand in casinos, and car dealers don't look the way they look because they give away money, folks. You want to be the house. You want to be a seller of options. That's what I like. So this is a credit spread, and we're potentially bringing in a credit of $2.60. I also tell my members to do this. I want all or none. I don't want to get filled on one contract and then 3 and then 4, later in the afternoon. So I usually put all or none, okay? Also, during my live trade briefs, I take a screenshot of this. So there's a screenshot of it from yesterday, okay? Now, this distinguishes me from just about everybody else out there, folks. I'm going to turn into a Catholic nun for a second, right? Sister Mary Matthew. Before I click on the Analyze button to analyze the metrics of this trade, I'm going to train you at Top Gun Options to look at one thing and one thing only when I click this. And it's a sad face, okay? When I count down to 1, everybody look at the sad face first. You ready? 3, 2, 1, the sad face. Max potential loss. Well, Wiz, that's no fun. I want to look up here first. Don't ever do that again. Whether you're a fighter pilot or an options trader, we want to look at what our max potential loss is. How can I get killed on this mission, or how much could I potentially lose? And if you ain't okay with losing this, don't ever look up here. I guarantee you, I see a lot of my members in here chatting. Welcome, guys. They know this because most retail traders do what? As soon as they click that Analyze button, they go, $1,800 in a couple weeks, in a month? I'd love to make maybe $2,000 a month just on one trade. Well, who wouldn't? But if you're not prepared for that to potentially happen, don't go on the mission. Or maybe this is based on, there's where the 7 comes from, folks. Maybe you do less contracts. Maybe you do. I can't give you investment advice. At Top Gun Options, you're getting to eavesdrop in on what I'm doing. I manage $100,000 model portfolios. So that's where this comes from. One of my SOPs says I don't want to risk more than 5%, $5,000 on any one trade. Where's that come from, Wiz? That comes from nearly a quarter of a century of doing this on my own. That's a nice number for me. That means I live to fight another day. If I wake up Tuesday morning and Amazon has gone through $1,000 because Jeff Bezos turns out to be the Antichrist or something nuts, guess what? I looked at that and said, that is in accordance with my SOP. I'm not happy I lost $5,000, but it's acceptable. Now we can look up and go, all right, whew, max potential profit. And the metrics, this trade's already making money, because look at when I sent this out yesterday. Look at that. It was literally no more than $5,000 in risk, and you could make 2. So if my members got filled on this yesterday, they're already making a little bit of scratch. That puts a smile on my face. Now, using current at-the-money volatility in Amazon options, we're looking at a 69% probability of a max profit. That's it's pretty nice. And look at this. The break-even, 70%. There's a 70, almost 3 out of 4 times you do this trade, you're going to make some money. I like this. No events really to look out for, no earnings or anything like that, so that's safe. And this is why I'm an options trader, folks. Stock traders, I just don't get it. Why? Stock traders make money 3 ways. So do options traders. Here's a stock trader, how they make money. The buy, hope, and pray. Not us as an options trader. You see this blue line? This blue line is Amazon. We make money if Amazon goes up. We make money if Amazon sits here. Wiz, that doesn't make sense. How do we make money if Amazon just sits here? Write this down. Unched on the day equals time decay. If Amazon is unchanged all next week, it just kind of does that sideways move, we make money. How? There's a Greek I'll teach you called theta, time decay. Remember, folks, when you sell that Ferrari down here in Fort Lauderdale and that guy peels out in his midlife crisis car, and then his wife calls and says, turn that car back in, your midlife crisis is over. As soon as he peels back in and says, hey, Wiz, I know I paid $250,000 for this car. Can you buy it back? I'd be like, sure, for $220,000. Because that theta, that time decay, when you buy something, it depreciates. So we make money if Amazon goes up, stays here. Amazon can even go down, folks, as long as it stays above our break even. So this is a good looking, actionable trade on Amazon. Now, real quick, I have 2 points in my trade. It's called the adjust and the eject. And I'm not going to have super amount of time to talk about this, but remember, this is I'm talking about steps 6 and 7 now in my trade plan. Let's talk about step 7 first. Anytime I am in a credit spread, if I see a 7, 8, or 9, meaning I'm up 70, 80, 90% of credit spread, close the damn trade. How many of you have been up like 80% in a credit spread and sat there and said, there's about $300 left in this trade. I'm just going to let it expire worthless. Anybody ever say that to themselves? And then you wake up and Amazon gaps down for whatever reason, and you turn a 80% winning trade into a 100% loser. You don't have to answer because I'll answer for you. I've been you, folks. I've been a retail trader and let my emotions get into play. And you know what I did? Exactly, Fish, not anymore. You know what I did? That's when I really started applying my F-18 training. I'm like, what are you, an idiot? If my fuel state was this, I do this. If my profit is this, I do this. Look at the top of one of my slides here, folks. Discipline, risk management, that equals superior execution. Right? It ain't rocket surgery, folks, but you have to be disciplined. So I have a point in my trade where I call it the adjust. Hey, man, that's when I start scratching my chin and go, you know what? Why is Amazon moving against me? Okay? And that price point would be about $4. How do I determine when I'd, no kidding, bail out of this jet if this trade was going against me? I just double the credit that I take in. What's that, 520? If I go, after going for a run on the beach Wednesday afternoon, I run back to here and I look in Amazon, this spread is up, priced at 520, double the credit that I take in, eject, get out of the trade, give the jet back to the taxpayers. Okay? So this is a good-looking trade. I don't have time to go through, no kidding, all the adjust and eject scenarios, but during my live trade briefs, after you guys sign up, I'll give you a 2-week trial here, test flight. Each time we put one of these trades on live, I tell you, hey, if it's moving against us, we're either going to roll it down, roll it out, or roll it down and out, or maybe close a trade. And I send out text alerts whenever I open a trade, adjust a trade, and do any of that stuff. So this This is a good-looking, actionable trade, and there it is. This is, look at the member page here. 15 December, Amazon bull put spread. There it is right there, and it's already making money. And I shot a video to explain everything essentially that I did just here. So this is an actionable trade that my members got yesterday that you guys can take a look at as well. Real quick, let me and then I'll answer some of your the good questions I've been seeing. I'm not ignoring you. I just wanted to get through my brief, and I did. It's funny. That's why I ignore questions sometimes, is because if it's a good brief, a thorough brief, you shouldn't necessarily have some questions. So let me show you what we can do here at Top Gun Options for you. And there's a better URL. Get FT. Get Full Throttle. So here's we essentially have three. We call them tracks at Top Gun Options, and let me throw these in there. Oh, Fish, that's a good point. You know what? I'll let people know about the sit rep. I appreciate that. So let me do this here, and we'll let me send that to all you guys. So here's the link for this page. Like I said, we had a weekly options. Let me show you. You know, folks, men lie, numbers don't. So, well, not too many of the Navy guys are served with lie, but here's my point. Here's the weekly options brief from Monday. We did this Monday afternoon, or no, Tuesday morning, I'm sorry. Here's our SPX bull put spread, the 26.50, 26.45. This trade made $1,400 this week. Why do I bring that up? Because if you want to trade weekly options with us, it should be every Monday at 1 o'clock. Sometimes for scheduling, we move it around a little bit. It's only $245 a month to trade weekly options and all of our other services. You know what, Wiz? Weekly options are a little, I don't know, man, a little spicy for me right now. Then maybe you do the defensive track, which is all of our live trading and our training, but you get that accelerated retirement service. A little bit more conservative portfolio. We're focused on those Jan 19, Jan 20 trades and nice solid base hits. Like I said, closing a Facebook Jan, 2018 trade for like 42 to 45 grand in a year and a half. What if you want to do both? Obviously, it's called Max Afterburner. You get every live trading session we do here at TGO. So the monthly membership fees are at the bottom, $195. $245, and then $295 for the whole enchilada. Obviously, it ain't rocket surgery, folks. If you want to save a hell of a lot of money, you can do an annual subscription for $19.95, $24.95, or $29.95. With one trade this week, the weekly options bull put spread, I more or less almost paid for a full year of our defensive annual training. I think that's pretty damn good. So let me roll about this. And here's the training that we do right here. Here's the sessions that you're going to get access to. This is about an hour to an hour and a half long training sessions, man, from double verticals to iron condors and all that stuff. You know what, Jeanette, that's a good, yeah. So folks, I'm not a big tire kicker guy, to be honest with you. Let me hook you up with I'm not a half pregnant guy, and here's what I mean by that. You're either in it or you're not. But we do, if you want to give it a 2-week test flight, if I gave you a thorough enough brief, go to this page and grab your slot. Okay. If you want a little tire kicking, welcome aboard. Yeah, Merry Christmas. Here's my holiday. It's Christmas to me. Here's my Christmas offer. Go to our homepage, topgunoptions.com, and we have 3. If you're a skier, these look familiar: beginner, intermediate, advanced. The beginner portfolio is our accelerated retirement. That AR, accelerated retirement, that's, was it 60, 65% year to date? Nice, about a 50 grand profit year to date. The intermediate is probably where most of you guys should go. The advanced one gives you access to weekly options. So let's just do the intermediate 2-week test flight. And folks, for the cost of a pretty average bottle of I'd say Pinot Grigio, you can do a 2-week test flight into our services here. And let me put this, I'll put this in the chat box as well for you. So this is a 2-week trial into our intermediate. You get the primary live trade brief, which is every Tuesday morning for an hour and a half. That's where this week we looked at that bull put spread. We looked at ExxonMobil, and what was the other trade we did? ExxonMobil and I forget what else we did. ExxonMobil. Oh, MGM, an MGM spread. I've been Gordon Geckoing MGM. Horrific tragedy there. I wear my flight suit. I feel horrible as an American, but as Gordon Gecko, I'm going to pound that thing into the dirt because the Mandalay Bay is a ghost town. More on that when you become a member. But here's the intermediate trial. You're also going to get our options pocket checklist and our 2 workbooks, intermediate and primary. That's for 2 weeks. It's about $375 when you do the math. So for your Santa Margarita later tonight, $28. So I'll do that. So Jeanette, good catch. This will be like I said, I don't like these type of things, but if you really want to kick the tire, we have a very tight membership here at TGO. We have a ready room where we have an interactive forum, and we have a lot of people who've become friends. We meet once a year. I like a tight-knit squadron, but if you really do want to kick the tires, just go to that link right there. Cindy, our phone number should be on the page somewhere around here. Isn't it right there? Right here. There's our phone number if you need to call. Cindy, give us a call, and we'll answer. A couple other good questions. Give me 1 second to scroll up here. I want to keep Jeanette on time here, so I have 3 minutes left, folks. Questions. Geb Reyes, do you provide text actionable alerts for the $195 monthly? Yeah, folks, every service gets text alerts. The only one that doesn't is our accelerated retirement service, because you get an email within 15 minutes of me doing the webinar, but they're not super timely actionable trades. Every other service, the weekly options, the primary live trade brief, everything gets text alerts, opening, closing, adjustments, everything like that. So absolutely yes. Rob, yeah, I'll let you do that. I'll keep that open for you. You bet. Bill, boy, I hope that what you are selling is cheap enough for me, because you sound like the kind of Republican I would like to align with. Bill, I'm not a Republican, to be honest with you. I'm a recovering Republican. I'm a libertarian. I can't leave me alone, man. Let me have my house in Montana with my guns and my bullets and my family, and I'll put enough money into the kitty where we can have a Navy and an interstate highway system. Other than that, man, and this stench with this stuff going on with the Department of Justice, it's a silent coup, folks. This guy should be charged with treason. Did you read his text? Don't worry, Trump won. I have an insurance policy. I'm going to I have many tools in my arsenal to protect this country. This guy thinks he's Captain America is trying to bring down a presidency. This is the dude that interviewed Hillary Clinton not under oath. He's the dude that changed the language from gross negligence. Everybody knows it. Folks, if I sent one email like Hillary did as a naval officer, they would have court-martialed me. My life would have been destroyed. It's awful. They didn't interview Hillary under oath because they knew she'd lie her ass off. So General Flynn, a 3-star Army general who served in combat, who's buried troops, his life is destroyed because he got caught in a lie with this guy. But Hillary Clinton's running around on a book tour. Don't get me started. So Bill, it breaks my heart. Gilbert, what if we lose money during the 2-week trial? Do we get our $28 back? First of all, Gilbert, I don't know if you win or lose money. That's none of my business. I'm not an investment advisor. We have a lot of trades on. If you're that worried about $28, we might not be a good fit for you. I'll just put it like that. Kate, why not advanced trial? What is the difference? Oh, Kate, you can do the advanced trial. The only difference is we trade weekly options in the advanced trial. I just kind of threw the trial out there that is the middle of the road. But Kate, if you're a little bit more, hey Wiz, I wouldn't mind trying to trade the weekly options, then do that one, Kate. Absolutely. Steve, where's my $28? I kind of laughed at that too. Guys, if you're worried about getting $28 back, if something bad happens, man, we're probably not going to be a good fit. And I'm just being honest. I mean, folks, I'm a former naval aviator. We don't beat around the bush. We are nameless and rankless, and we don't pull any punches, man. So if you like my style, great. If you don't, I wish you guys happy hunting and all that stuff. If it's so good, why do you need more money? I have no idea what that means, Kate. Actually, I went over by a minute. I got to bail out here, guys. That's unprofessional on my part. Jeanette, I'm sorry I went over by a minute. I owe you a bottle of wine, Jeanette. So, folks, thanks for having me. Like I said, you can go to our homepage, topgunoptions.com, scroll down and look at the ski slope, and then hopefully I'll see some of you folks. If you want to, no kidding, jump in right now, it's this page, okay? So, Jeanette, thanks for having me. I appreciate it, and looking forward to working with you guys again, and Merry Christmas. God bless.